Waffles, a staple when it comes to American breakfast. And there is one restaurant chain that does it better than anyone else: Waffle House. If you do not live in the Southeast, chances are you've heard all about Waffle House, but just don't live close enough to give them a shot. But for those who are nearby, it is part of life in the South. From its amazing service to its delicious food, everything at Waffle House is top-notch. Whether you're a college student looking for something to eat after a night of partying, or an exhausted traveler looking to fill yourself up with a delicious meal at 3 a.m., you will find something for yourself.
There's something that appeals to everybody, whether you're a Southerner and you love grits or whether you have to have the hash browns. It is a Southern atmosphere, it's a Southern menu.
It has been almost 70 years since the first Waffle House opened, and it is now a cultural icon. What can be more iconic than FEMA using a metric after your name for disaster response, right? Powers are out and you need a warm meal? No worries, the Waffle House to the rescue.
Goldsboro, North Carolina pretty much shut down as Hurricane Florence moved in. But the Waffle House stayed open, 24 hours a day straight through the storm, serving up comfort food as the storm wailed away outside.
Let's just say Waffle House takes its promise of providing around-the-clock service quite seriously. You can see why it has sort of a cult following. In today's video, we'll see why Waffle House is so successful despite its limited geographical expansion. Waffle House was started by two friends, Joe Rogers and Tom Forkner, on Labor Day weekend in 1955 in Avondale Estates, Georgia. The idea to open a restaurant was Rogers's, as he had some experience in the industry. Rogers met Tom Forkner while buying a house from him, and they became fast friends. Rogers had experience and Tom Forkner was a good salesman, so the duo was a perfect fit. Rogers wanted to open a restaurant that opened around the clock and had a very fast service. Very little changed since its inception. It was Forkner who suggested the restaurant should be named Waffle House, as among the 16 items on their menu, waffles were the most profitable one. The duo had not anticipated how successful the restaurant would become. People loved their food as well as their fast service. The menu was limited, but everything was delicious. And on top of that, it was open 24/7. What is there not to love? By 1960, Waffle House had become a chain of 4 restaurants. It was also in 1960 that the company started franchising. By the end of the 1960s, Waffle House had become a chain of 27 restaurants. It was in the 1970s that the growth of Waffle House locations accelerated. The 26-year-old son of Joe Rogers Jr., took over and started to expand the company. The 70s were a time of turmoil for the company on paper because of the financial crisis and gas shortage. Rogers Jr. gained a controlling share of the company and paid off the company's debt. Currently, the restaurant chain operates in 25 states in America and has over 1,900 store locations. As I said before, very little has changed since the chain was established. Especially in the South, it is a regional icon. And it still has not conquered the other states of the country, so there is so much potential for growth for the company. People of all ages seem to love Waffle House. Be it the college kids who go to the restaurant after a long night of partying, a family who comes in for breakfast as a Sunday morning tradition, a grandfather who brings his grandkids to treat them to some delicious, comforting, greasy food, or someone who is on the road. A lot of people even have their own traditions associated with Waffle House. It is easier to keep these traditions going because rain or shine, night or day, you will find the Waffle House open. Yep, the original intention of Rogers to open the restaurant around the clock has stayed true to this day, and it is open 24/7, 365 days a year with no exception. As a matter of fact, Waffle House seems to be one thing people miss the most when they move to places that do not have one. Let's just say it's part of people's lives in the South. The company is still privately owned by the family, so they are quite secretive about their finances. We do not really know how much the company is worth or how much revenue it generates, but as per an article by Forbes that was published in 2021, the company's worth could be around $4 billion. But this is just an estimation, as nothing regarding the company is made public. The company itself claims to be the world's largest seller of several items like waffles, ham, and T-bone steaks, among others. According to the company, it serves 2% of all eggs in the US. That says something about how well the company's doing, right? So, how has Waffle House been able to become so successful? One of the major reasons behind the success of the company is the tight family control. Because of this, the true vision of the founders has stayed with the company even to this day. Along with earning money, their focus has always been to provide the best service to their customers. That could be through food or the environment as a whole. When you walk into a Waffle House, you will always be greeted with happy faces that will give you a very homely feeling. Rare to find this kind of service these days. This ensures that customers come back again and again. Having tight family control also means that they have control over franchising. Oftentimes, you see the reputation of an establishment being ruined because of a bad franchise. When you are selective about franchising, you make sure the quality is up to the mark. This ensures top-notch quality is maintained in every restaurant, no matter the location. Consistency also seems to be one of the major strengths of Waffle House. Be it their friendly service or their food, no matter which location you go to, you will get the same consistent quality. It has changed very little since it opened decades ago. If you used to go to Waffle House when you were a kid, you will get a sense of nostalgia if you step in now. The food will taste as good, with the same simple decor, the same homely ambiance, and the same sense of community and good hospitality. Their environment has also been a major reason for their success. Rather than chasing trends and spending money on fancy decor, the company likes to keep things simple. The outlets are simple with an open counter, so you can see and even chat with the person cooking your food. Everyone is super welcoming. It also puts focus on opening smaller locations as opposed to a few large ones. This makes it accessible to everyone. Initially, the company strategically placed the locations of its restaurants just as the car culture was starting, with a motive to attract travelers. This has continued to this day. As their restaurants are open 24/7, it is quite convenient for the people on the road to quickly go and grab something to eat. They also put a huge emphasis on speed. The average time for your food to be ready at Waffle House is 8 minutes. You are in and out of the Waffle House in less than an hour if you're in a hurry. They also have jukeboxes in the restaurant, and the songs are mostly related to food or Waffle House, as they should be. The company has its own record label for this purpose. I do not think this side of the business makes them money, but those jukeboxes provide you entertainment, so I guess that's the whole point of them. The company also does not have to spend much on advertising. The South, especially Georgia, does not need any advertising as it's become part of life there. And as for other places, word of mouth seems to be enough. Once a person tries the food and the environment, they seem to love it. That's the thing with Waffle House. It can retain its customers. They provide quality food at a reasonable price and have amazing hospitality. Who would not want to go back for that? The success of Waffle House is also because of its night business. Not many restaurant chains open throughout the night, which means that people, especially partygoers, have very few options. The company realizes this, and according to co-founder Joe Rogers, the night business determines whether the company has sales enough to be profitable. The South has warm weather, which makes it easier for people to be active during the night. Now, if you were to apply this to the northern locations, it would probably not be as effective. Cold weather means fewer people out during the night. Waffle House has made quite a name for itself for being a company that's always open, so much so that the Federal Emergency Management Agency unofficially uses a metric called the Waffle House Index to determine how bad the disaster is.
You said, quote, if you get there and the Waffle House is closed, that's really bad. That's where you go to work.
Remember when I said rain or shine, Waffle House is always open? Well, I was not exaggerating. If you find the Waffle House near you closed, that is a different story. You better run for your dear life. If the Waffle House Index shows green, that means the location is open and serving the full menu. If it's yellow, it means the disaster is mild and the restaurant is serving a limited menu. If the index is red, it means that the restaurant is closed and the disaster is serious. Since the index started, it has turned red only once, and that happened during the pandemic. Waffle House is super prepared for disasters. A mild storm will not stop Waffle House from serving its customers. Every Waffle House has a special on-site generator that's used if the power is off due to the disaster, and they provide a special limited menu based on their supplies during these times. So yeah, safe to say they never close unless absolutely necessary. Recently, Waffle House seems to be on the news frequently. Turns out, it has become famous, or should I say infamous, for one other thing besides its food and service: fights. Waffle House is constantly on the news because of the constant brawls in the place.
All right, if you noticed Waffle House trending on Twitter this morning, ooh, this is why. Look at this. Here's the thing. You see how she blocked that chair? If you have ever...
It has become a go-to place to eat after partying for a lot of people. A lot of rowdy people under the influence of drugs and alcohol come to dine and start unnecessary fights, making the place chaotic and sometimes even unsafe for the employees to work. Honestly, the people at fault here are the people starting the fights rather than the restaurant, but constantly being on the news because of the violence occurring at the restaurant damages the reputation of the company. The Atlanta Waffle House workers have recently expressed their desire to unionize for better wages and to stop the workplace violence they are facing.
Waffle House workers could be the next group to walk off the job. Employees here in Georgia and other states want better working conditions, and they're galvanizing their fellow co-workers to unionize.
Waffle House has been able to become a cultural icon and part of life in the South. The opportunity for growth is endless for Waffle House as it continues to expand throughout the country. With its top-notch service and delicious food, it is only a matter of time before it becomes a key player in the industry. What do you think of Waffle House? Do you feel like their food and service are as good as people say? Do tell us in the comments below. And thanks for tuning in to another episode with Intellectual Digest.